Hey everybody, just wanted to make a pretty short video here on our homework assignment on Middle America. Every now and then, in addition to our Google Earth exercise, I may make a short video. I won't do it for every chapter, but in realms that I'm particularly close to, I know a little bit about, I've traveled to, or if there's something kind of important going on there, I might make a little supplemental video and maybe discuss a specific item, in this case a trip that I recently made to the Middle American realm, and just share some information with you on that. And I'll incorporate at least one question in the homework assignment about this topic, whatever I'm talking about. In this case, I'm going to talk about a recent trip that I went on. Back in July of this year, I was able to travel to Mexico with a group locally from here, and I'll explain that in just a minute. And we went down to the Cancun area of Mexico, which, yes, it's a great resort area and a big tourist area, but that's not why we went there. We went there because of their extraordinary natural resources with regards to their caves and what they call cenotes, which we call them sinkholes, but they're cenotes. They are open in the bottom, have water in them, a big tourist attraction down there. A group of us went down there to exchange some ideas with their local professionals on the topic of water quality, cave management, and general development in a karst area. So I am fortunate enough to be the vice chair of a local group called the Mammoth Cave Biosphere Reserve. A biosphere reserve is a United Nations, a UNESCO designation, so it's international, and it is designated areas that are really, really unique and important to the world with regards to their natural resources. And Mammoth Cave is one of those. So we have one here locally, and again, I'm the vice chair of that group here at Mammoth Cave, our advisory council. So I traveled with this group. We had representatives from Western Kentucky University. We had two representatives from there. We had representatives from the Cave Research Foundation, and also from Mammoth Cave National Park. We had an employee from there that went down. So we went down to represent our biosphere in Mexico, and they also have a karst biosphere in that area called Cien Con. And we went down on kind of an exchange trip. One of their representatives came up in June and visited us for about 2 to 3 weeks, and we made a return trip there for approximately 8 days to participate in some of their programs and to learn a little bit more about the area. And I just wanted to share, this is basically going to be kind of a picture show and tell, so I'm not going to sit here and lecture and have all these slides with a lot of information on there. But what I wanted to do is, first of all, let you be aware of this kind of thing is going on both here in the local area, and that we have interest in other parts of the world, specifically in the realm that we're going to study next, and that's Middle America and Mexico. There are karst areas all over the world. You'll see Professor Chris Groves from Western Kentucky University. He's probably the expert on karst areas in the entire world. He travels to China regularly because they have so much karst there. When I refer to the word karst, that means basically our water, instead of running in streams and creeks, a lot of times goes underground and goes through soluble bedrock. In this case, it's limestone, and creates caves, and that's where our water drains. So we have Mammoth Cave National Park very near here, and that's the basis of our Biosphere Reserve. And there are other similar environments like that in the world. So we've reached out to them and shared information. And a couple things on this. First of all, you're going to see some culture. We went down there and experienced definitely the Middle American culture. In addition to that, we talked about science, of course. So there's a lot of different things that weave into trips like this. And if you decide to have a career in one of these different disciplines, that you might be able to do this kind of thing once you get in your career. Again, it could be culture, it could be math, history, all kinds of different things could lead you down this path. So I just wanted to kind of do a little quick show and tell of kind of what we did and who we are, and kind of go over that all with you all. If you are interested more in the karst and the caves and all the physical science part of this, I also teach an environmental geology course that we're offering as a bi-term later this semester, and then as a full term in the spring semester. So I will go over all of that a lot more when talking about these natural resources. So just a little background real quick, and the rest of it's going to be pretty much pictures. So Mammoth Cave right now, one of the big reasons we decided to visit this ecosystem, this cave system down in Sian is Mammoth Cave has always been really popular because we're the longest cave system in the world. Right now, we have 420 miles of cave that is mapped and surveyed. That means we've documented every mile of that, and we're the longest cave. And we have been the known longest cave for several years. I think since the 1940s or 50s is when we first kind of realized we had that designation. And it's grown since then because we continue to find more cave. The more we explore, the more we map, the more we find. But if you look at this list, I put the top 4 cave systems on this list. And you see number 2 and number 4 there. Oxbelha and Sakatun, those 2 cave systems in Quintana-Roo, which is very near Cancun and Tulum. The second one, Sakatun, is 234 miles. Oxbelha is 198 miles. So if you add those 2 together, you will see that is a little bit more than 420 miles. Which means if they were to connect these 2 cave systems down there, they would take over that spot as the number 1 cave system as far as length in the world. So that's pretty significant because we really haven't been in that situation since Mammoth Cave was designated as long. We've always been by far the longest cave system in the world. One of their big things down there is, and it's really kind of impressive to me, is, Mammoth Cave is mostly a dry cave system. We go in there and crawl around and climb and explore and all that. Down there, almost all their cave system is underwater. It's under the water table. So these people are diving. They have cave divers that actually go into the water, and that's how they explore their cave system, which is extremely dangerous, and it takes a lot of guts to be able to do that. So I take my hat off to those people that do that. But that's kind of the situation we're in now. And we kind of joked while we were down there that, it's a friendly competition. It really is not important which one has that designation. But what it does do, as humans, we like to compete. So if we bring this up, people in the area are more interested sometimes. Okay, are we catching up? Are we going to, so it does draw some interest to the topic. So briefly, the base of this was Universidad del Caribe in Cancun. This is the group that I was a part of from, again, I said Western Cave Research Foundation, Western Kentucky University, and the National Park Service. So this is our group that represented us down there. This is a picture of me giving a presentation. I do speak Spanish as well, so I was speaking in part-time in English, part-time in Spanish for the people that were in attendance there, which was very intimidating because I'm not great at Spanish, but I can survive. So again, picture of a presentation. This is Dr. Chris Groves. He's sitting on the right there at the table, right beside the screen. He's giving a presentation on the differences in the 2 karst systems that we have that we're talking about. And this is a picture of the entire group. This is basically our group with our support group. All the students and faculty and private individuals that really helped us out and hosted us on this trip, made it a really, really good trip for us. So this is a picture from up top of one of the buildings at Universidad del Caribe. You can see in the background there, you see a lot of trees. This university is built right on the edge of a mangrove area on the coast. So they have really an outdoor lab in their backyard that they can study a lot of these types of things. Of course, here's your typical beach shot in Cancun, but I did put a couple pictures in here because this is going to relate to one of your questions that I'm going to ask you in your homework assignment. If you look right off the beach there, you see an area of water that looks a lot clearer than when you go further out, it looks a lot darker. You can also see kind of some buoys around a rope, and that water is clear because there's actually a barrier there on that small beach that's keeping the stuff that's outside of it from coming in. So what that dark is out there in the other water is called sargassum. Sargassum is basically a species of seaweed. Now, if you had traveled to Cancun way back, I first went to Cancun when I was a senior in high school, and this was a long time ago, back in the 90s. And all this water was crystal clear. You could see 60, 70 feet straight down like it was an aquarium. It's beautiful. Now it's not like that anymore, at least part of the year. And this sargassum is part of that problem. Next slide, again, a little different angle, the same beach, but if you focus on the boats to your right and just out past those boats, you can see another clear area of water. But then when you leave that little protected area, again, it's a lot darker. That's because of that seaweed, that sargassum that's accumulated there. It accumulates there now about 6 months out of the year, and this is a direct impact of both climate change and human activity. And even though we're in the middle of the Middle American realm here, it's being heavily affected by both the North American realm and the South American realm because of pollutants that are discharged through our river systems out into the ocean. It puts so many nutrients in the water that there's an area out in the middle of the ocean that this stuff grows. And it's been expanding. It's natural. It's always grown there. So it's nothing that we created as far as it's not a new thing. But because of all these nutrients that are being pumped in at such a high rate, it's exploded. And now this stuff grows. It's being swept into beaches, not only in Mexico, but across the entire Caribbean. And it's really, really harming the tourist industry. And as you learn in your chapter, as you read through your chapter material, you're going to find that this entire realm really relies on the tourism industry. And if that were to collapse, it would really, really have an adverse impact on this area. So it kind of shows you how we're tied together, even though we're in different realms, we're still tied together with different parts of the world. And just a few pictures of me with the host. This is when we went to Tulum. That's where Cian Khan is. We visited some Mayan ruins. These are basically right on the beach. If you've seen pictures of Tulum, you see how really pretty it is there. So this is our tour. Tulum actually sits right beside the Biosphere Reserve of Cian Khan. And Cian Khan is very diverse. It covers coastal areas as well as inland areas. This was our first day on the Biosphere Reserve. Here is a photo on the coast. You can look out across the bay. On the right, you see these kind of pathways we're taking a boat through. There's a heavy current in there, and these pathways were carved into the mangroves by the Mayans, and they're still there. They reused these to get their boats out to trade up and down the coast. And the bottom right picture is my feet. You've probably heard of a lazy river in some of these resorts. Well, this is kind of like a natural lazy river. We hopped in the water and the current would just take us. We just floated all the way through this beautiful area out there. They had manatees, all kinds of different stuff. So it is a really rewarding experience. As you go inland, you start to experience the karst and the caves. And these are the cenotes I was talking about. And these cenotes, this is fresh water because it is inland. It's away from the coast. And this is where they access their cave systems and they dive down into these. And on the left one, it's a little more natural. But on the right, you'll see that these cenotes have really ballooned in popularity with tourists because the water is so clear. It's fresh water. A lot of people go to these cenotes as a tourist destination. So there's a lot of swimming in there. And, that's a good thing, especially some of these cenotes are pretty conscious about educating people on these topics. But in addition, when you get that many people entering the water, of course, anywhere people go, we affect the environment. So they're starting to have a little bit of problem with some pollution in cenotes. Even things that you don't think about. When you think about how many, I don't know the exact number, I'm not in the tourism industry, but probably 1 million people visit this area on an annual basis. That's just a complete guess, but I'm guessing it's a lot of people over the course of a year. When you get a lot of people with just think of suntan lotion. If they jump in these cenotes, that kind of leaks off of your skin and gets in the water. And when you put person after person, day after day, week after week, you're going to start to get buildups of these kind of things. So they're studying that right now to see what the impact is on the touristy type areas. And then this is a picture. The one that we visited, again, it was very environmentally conscious. We could not use any type of sunscreen or any chemical at all. So we had to actually shower before we got into the water when we entered. This is some of the pictures that I took when I was down in the water inside of the cave. Little fish down there I caught under the water. Now, going more inland, the whole peninsula, especially the northern end, is karst. It has these cenotes. It's very characteristic of that area. We also traveled to a larger city named Merida. And in Merida, this is a very good picture. It's a bigger city, but this is a picture of their Plaza de Armas. And as you have read, or you're going to read in your textbook materials, all the Latin American countries have a Plaza de Armas in their towns. It's kind of like our town squares here in rural Kentucky. Most small towns have a town square. That's what their Plaza de Armas is. And in Merida's case, this is a very nice one. It has a lot of nice park, vegetation. You see the cathedral in the background. That's typically the main feature of the Plaza de Armas, a Catholic cathedral in Latin America. And it's really a gathering place for the people of the town. And there's the cathedral in the upper left-hand corner. Lower right is just an example of the architecture. And this was what they did on a Friday night. And it's probably kind of hard to see on your device, but there is a dance crew out there, several pairs of dancers, and they were representing the local traditional dance of the area. It's a cultural thing, and they have these kind of shows on weekends, and that's what they do. So it's a very lively and entertaining area when you visit these areas. This is also in Merida. We were fortunate enough, our group, the local U.S. consulate discovered that we were in the country, and the U.S. ambassador there wanted to meet with us while we were there, so we got to meet sort of a diplomatic mission that we were down there. So we didn't plan that, but they just found out we were there, and they wanted to meet with us and discuss karst issues and the aquifers, so that was a very unique opportunity that we had. While we were in Merida, we took some field days out in the field. This is a traditional Mayan village. We had lunch there, so we had traditional Mayan food, and you see a picture of the type of areas we're driving through in the upper right-hand corner. And this is the last slide. I included this in your lesson, so if you look at Chapter 3, the Middle American Lesson Plan, this PowerPoint is actually in there. And these links are in there, and what this is these are links to learn more about the biospheres. So if you're interested in the CNCon, I have the first link there is for that. The other ones are for Mammoth Cave. Again, I'm on that advisory council, so I contributed to some of the content on here. But I just wanted to make you aware of that trip since we're studying Middle America now, and just introduce you to some of the opportunities and some of the culture that may be out there if you ever travel. My suggestion is if you ever travel these places, as a geography person, I rarely travel to these countries and go straight to their resort because everybody speaks English. You don't experience culture. You experience Americanism, basically, when you go to resorts. I always bypass the resorts and I go to the countryside. I like to learn about the culture and learn about what the country is really like, not just the tourist experience. So that's it. Again, just a short video. I wanted to introduce you to that. I'm going to have a question about the sargassum in the homework assignment. We might have a question or two on the test about these things, but I just wanted to do that really quickly to kind of have something a little different than just the tried and true textbook material and the Google Maps stuff. So again, if y'all have any questions or anything on my end, please let me know, and I will talk to you soon. Thank you.